Exclusive contract with Feilu Novel Network Novel. Understanding the Sky. I create the supreme wilderness, traveling through the wilderness and becoming the son of the Yuan Feng. The beginning inspires a rebellious understanding. Rosen relies on his intellect to create subtraction and emptiness, breaking away from causality. He created an incarnation to become the Tathagata, swallowing the Buddha's teachings with great momentum. He uses Fenbao rock to create a future body and manifest many innate treasures. He is one of the 5 elders of the heavenly court, towering above, and the heavenly emperor also bows his head. He led the world of the wilderness to upgrade. Hunyuan Dalao, when transcending time, transcending fate, Rosen, forged the highest realm. You delve into the essence and blood of the chaos demon god, creating the chaos avenue body. You draw the Great Way rune from the Pangu axe and comprehend the Great Way of power. You condense the principles of the 3,000 great paths and create the incarnation of the heavenly way. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Adversarial Understanding. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In a daze, Rosen's mind was stirred up. Open your eyes. It's so crowded. What the hell is this place? At the moment of speaking, Rosen was suddenly shocked to find that he couldn't speak. But in a more wonderful way, it vibrates the air and produces the effect of speaking. More precisely, he doesn't even have eyes, let alone speak now. The so-called seeing just now is an illusion brought about by a more mysterious sense. Every big event requires careful attention. After taking several deep breaths in his consciousness, Rosen calmed down and began to observe for 4 weeks. At this glance, Rosen was completely stunned. He is now in an egg. Moreover, he is not the only one inside the egg. There is another one next to it. Compared to the rest of the group next to him, Rosen was completely squeezed into a corner by the little one. This big guy, although Rosen saw the other person's presence, he felt that they didn't even have consciousness now. It is a state at the beginning of life, with only a little innate spiritual light. Don't ask Rosen how he found out. This kind of cognition is like being bestowed by heaven. He doesn't know either. But with this kind of cognition, after realizing the huge difference in body size between himself and the big guy next to him, Rosen became even more cautious. To be honest, the other party not only squeezed Rosen into the corner, but also posed a huge threat to him as if breathing, expanding and contracting. Fearing to wake up this behemoth without even self-awareness, Rosen carefully observed the surroundings. Quickly, he was surprised to find that there were 2 streams of air, one black and one white, circulating continuously between this behemoth and himself. In the process of circulation, these 2 airflow streams are also constantly merging into this behemoth. Ding! I have detected that you have successfully traveled through time, awakened your consciousness, received unknown blessings, and possessed the ability to defy the heavens. At the moment of this prompt sound, Rosen's perception seemed to jump from smooth 360p to 4K high definition in an instant. Everything within the perceptual range seems to be actively explaining one's own mysteries to him. Rosen sensed the 2 streams of air, one black and one white, circulating continuously without any guidance. It is a good thing that one must never miss out on. I tentatively wriggled my body to allow myself to have more exposure and observe the circulation of black and white airflow. The next moment, Rosen stayed in place. You have come into contact with the innate yin and yang tu qi, and listened to the innate yin and yang tu qi. The ancient great ability remains in the consciousness of the innate yin and yang way. Your understanding has been activated against heaven. You have created the left path technique, the determination of yin and yang tu qi no. In Rosen's mind, there seemed to be a flash of thunder. Congenital yin-yang qi. Isn't this the treasure lost by the golden winged Dupeng, the uncle of the Tathagata in Journey to the West? Can it be said that the giant creature next to me that squeezes my living space is a phoenix seed and a golden-winged eagle? Are you now carved in the same egg as the golden-winged Dapeng? But it's still not right. Except for Kong Xian, the elder brother of the golden-winged Dapeng eagle, it seems that there are no other brothers, let alone brothers of the same kind. Thinking about his current situation, Rosen made two guesses. Either, during the process of breeding inside the egg, the golden-winged eagle forced the death of another unborn brother. Either one's own journey has caused everything. Any unreasonable thing, when faced with the matter of time travel, will become very reasonable. But Rosen doesn't want to be any phoenix seed. In theory, there is an elder brother Kong Xian on top, and next to him is a brother with the same egg, a golden-winged giant peng eagle. Once transformed, Rosen can at least be considered to have a foothold in the background. But Rosen knew that the phoenix seed lineage lacked cause and effect, and the divine bird descended and gave birth to commerce. In the Yin and Shang dynasties, it was a time of divination and calamity. Even Kong Xian had to sacrifice his life to repay this cause and effect. You should know that Kong Xian is a quasi-holy peak power that can challenge saints. Despite this, he ultimately suffered calamity and fell into the Western religion. In the future, during the calamity of the journey to the West, the golden-winged Dapeng eagle also fell under the control of Western religions. Just thinking about the destined fate of the future, Rosen almost planned to ruin it. Now Rosen's only hope can only rest on his golden fingers. The left-way technique, which combines yin and yang, is a pure method of combat. Control, manipulate, and control the innate yin and yang qi. Transforming all things into yin and yang, and extending yin and yang into all things. It's just innate yin and yang, incredibly heavy. This martial art, although it is a method of combat, is more about how to accumulate mana. Manipulating and controlling the yin and yang qi has become a secondary issue. Being inside this huge eggshell, Rosen himself was squeezed by a giant creature on one side, almost leaving no living space. Where else is there a possibility of accumulating mana? I don't know whether to use the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, or the energy called innate energy. Once it enters the eggshell, Rosen doesn't even have 1/1000th of it. By relying on this amount of energy to accumulate mana, I'm afraid we'll have to wait until the next-door golden-winged Dapeng eagle is born. Even Rosen may not be able to manipulate the innate yin and yang qi. No matter how strong one's intelligence is, a clever woman cannot cook without rice. Rosen can only receive limited supply. It is simply impossible to accumulate massive mana. No way. I need to think of another way. Rosen's mind raced. I want the innate yin and yang qi. But what kind of phoenix seed cause and effect, with the golden-winged giant peng carving, where can I turn? Since I can't accumulate mana and improve strength in pregnancy, then find a way to transform in advance. The cause and effect of the phoenix seed. As a time traveler, the habit of taking advantage of any advantages and throwing away any pots has given Rosen an instant decision. He needs to quickly comprehend a method that can transfer cause and effect and transform into form in advance. You observe the evolution of the phoenix seed golden-winged Dapeng carving. Understand the mystery of your own yin-yang cycle, and perform the secret of transplanting flowers and trees, reducing and seeking emptiness, and transferring causality. Sure enough, the ultimate understanding is strength. A hint of excitement flashed in Rosen's eyes. Immediately, with strong insight, I easily learned this secret technique. With the introduction of this secret technique, Rosen also increasingly felt the constraints he was facing inside this eggshell. Even a secret technique has been so difficult to cultivate. Perhaps in the eyes of others, getting started with the secret technique in a short period of time can already be described as a talent of heaven and earth. But Rosen knew that he could have been even stronger. However, it is carved together with the golden-winged Dapeng, who is still in its egg white and yolk state during pregnancy. I can't absorb much of the vitality of heaven and earth on my own. This has slowed down his cultivation speed. With an incredible understanding, Rosen doesn't worry about his future at all. Next, he only needs to cut off the innate yin and yang energy that is now almost shared with the golden-winged Dapeng eagle. Completely take possession of this divine skill. So, we can completely sever the causal relationship with Feng Zhong and transform it into something. Chapter 2. Transforming into Form. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Although Rosen and the golden-winged Pingping eagle are both breeding in their eggshells now. But he and Feng Zhong have a very weak causal relationship. This is also the reason why Rosen is confident that he can easily cut off the causal relationship between himself and Feng Zhong with his secret technique. And the innate yin and yang energy is his trump card for himself. After all, the golden-winged Peng has not yet been born. Who knows what the world outside the eggshell is like? It can be certain that it must have been before the journey to the west and the enfeoffment of the gods. The peacock, carved with golden-winged Dapeng as its mother, shines brightly in the midst of being a deity. The golden-winged Dapeng carving, no matter how difficult it is to become a tool, refines the innate yin and yang energy into the body, creating an unparalleled yin and yang gas cylinder. At most, it can be considered a brain failure. Rather than having insufficient qualifications. You should know, the golden-winged eagle is a phoenix species. No matter what, the time of birth is definitely before being crowned as a god. And now, it's still in the egg white and yolk state. Rosen can only prepare for the worst. Guess in the most dangerous direction outside the eggshell. The secret method that Rosen comprehended, although it has the magic of cutting and transferring causality. But unfortunately, his strength is not enough now. I don't even have the image of the body yet. Thanks to his incredible insight, Rosen was able to transfer the cause and effect of the phoenix species to Dapeng like a lucky soul. On its own, it is doing subtraction and seeking emptiness. Although it is the posture of a bird breaking through its shell. But it has no causal relationship with the phoenix. In the early days of the Dragon and Han dynasties, although the phoenix was the leader of birds. But in the vast land, not all birds sell phoenix face. Not to mention anything else, the tripod golden crow nurtured on the sun star must have nothing to do with the phoenix. Not to mention, among the three cleans, there is also a feathered immortal who is also a golden-winged Dapeng eagle under the sect leader of the Tongtian sect. It can be said that even if Rosen, in a simple way, also transformed into a golden-winged eagle, as long as there is no cause and effect with the phoenix, there is no risk of being inexplicably related to the Yin Shang in the future of being a deity. No one would believe that Rosen would be Kong Xian's younger brother. The golden-winged Dapeng carving has a strong and majestic foundation. To transform into form, it requires nurturing with the vitality of heaven and earth for countless years. But Rosen, after cutting off causality, lost this foundation. But they are also no longer constrained by the phoenix lineage. Because there was no reference, Rosen did not know what level of strength he had reached. But he abandoned the heritage of the phoenix and transformed himself into a malnourished little falcon in the shortest possible time. Just as he had formed himself, Rosen couldn't wait to peck through the eggshell and drill out of the small hole. As for leaving such a hole, it will once again increase the time for the golden-winged giant Peng eagle to conceive. This is not about Rosen's business. Even in Rosen's view, this is actually a good thing. After all, if it doesn't take shape so early, it won't be possible to get caught up in those terrifying mass disasters in the future. Even if one day the golden-winged Peng eagle comes knocking on its door, it must say thank you to itself. Just as he emerged from the eggshell, Rosen felt that the previous feeling of oppression had disappeared. The surging vitality of heaven and earth seemed to flow into his body like 100 rivers returning to the sea. Rosen's strength skyrocketed in a visible way. My body keeps expanding. In the blink of an eye, it transformed from a delicate chick to a golden-winged eagle of a divine steed. The golden feathers seem to be carved from luxurious metal, and with just a slight flap of their wings, there is a strong and vigorous wind. Even without the magical power brought by the combination of yin and yang, just having a strong physical body is enough to make Rosen run rampant. Rosen is not a real beast, even if he transforms into a golden-winged eagle, he is more accustomed to the appearance of humans. You have comprehended the mysteries of heaven and earth's creation, experienced the structure of your own body, recalled various past lives, and comprehended the art of transformation that can transform yourself between the human body and the body to the naked eye. Rosen's body gradually shed its feathers, and a young man wearing a black, white, and gold Taoist robe with a delicate face replaced the majestic image of a golden-winged eagle. Because there is no inheritance, Rosen can only transform himself between the form of the golden-winged Pingping eagle and the human Tao body. But despite this, he regained his human form, but it still made Rosen feel the excitement of a long-time absence. Especially because deep in consciousness, it has an unforgettable impact on one's own human form. The transformation technique that Rosen is currently comprehending can only be transformed between the golden-winged eagle and humans. But this transformation is like the true art of change. Not just visual effects. Finally, he transformed himself from a ball of egg liquid to what he is now, and Rosen was so excited that his eyes almost turned red. Practice has no time, and heaven knows how long he has been oppressed by the golden-winged eagle inside the eggshell. Thanks to Rosen's golden finger, it not only improved his comprehension, but also had a restraining effect on his mind, allowing him to immerse himself in cultivation before. Otherwise, Rosen couldn't believe whether he could survive. Although successfully transformed into human form, the cautious Rosen did not rashly step into the wilderness. Except for that one, he doesn't know what level he is currently in, and how powerful he is in manipulating the innate yin and yang qi. I don't even know what level my own strength is at. Leaving recklessly, who knows if you might bump into something powerful and be slapped to death by the opponent's backhand, without even a chance to escape. With a rebellious understanding, Rosen's top priority now is to develop himself first, preferably by crafting a few powerful supernatural powers. The golden-winged Dapeng eagle is a phoenix species with a strong and powerful body. Now, without lacking the vitality of heaven and earth, Rosen can fully comprehend the powerful physical body of the golden-winged Dapeng eagle, allowing himself to master several powerful martial arts. In Rosen's view, the golden-winged Dapeng has great potential for development due to its two divine powers. With a single wing, the flying technique of flying 90,000 miles in an instant can easily catch up with Sun Wukong's somersault cloud. Further deduction may not necessarily reach the level of vertical golden light. In addition to flying, the claws of the golden-winged Dapeng eagle are also quite powerful. When catching a person, it can change according to the body shape of the person being caught, which can be said to be the ultimate form of capture. It's like tying a fairy rope and practicing it into a divine skill. This is just the instinct of the golden-winged eagle. The sharp bird beak, and even the golden feathers that are as precious as innate gold, can almost develop unique abilities. Once all instincts are fully developed, the cost of life will be divine. So even without the innate yin and yang energy of a killer's mace, Rosen has almost no shortcomings. In the art of flight and escape, the simplest flying technique can reach a level of flapping wings for 90,000 miles. Once caught, it is a capture that even the opponent cannot escape. The innate essence of gold is like feathers, which can also be transformed into powerful group attack methods. The eagle beak, which is even better than the peacock itself. In addition, the devouring technique that originates from the same source as the peacock and can be swallowed by even the Tathagata in one bite. Once successful, it can be said to be powerful in all aspects. Chapter 3. The Supreme Divine Power. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Amidst the dense forests of mountains and valleys. After randomly finding a cave to live in, Rosen immediately began to develop his instincts. The instinct of the golden-winged giant Peng carving embodies the ultimate principles of heaven and earth. It can be said that with good development, there is full potential to become a method of fierce competition. And Rosen's first insight was the instinct to fly. After all, this ability to escape at any time, which cannot be defeated, is truly the best secret to survival. It's like in the process of sealing gods and measuring tribulations, the Taoist Luya relied on one hand to release the golden light on the ground. I don't know how many times I have escaped from the brink of death. This is an empirical statement. How could Rosen possibly miss it? Although initially planning to comprehend the technique of flying and escaping. But Rosen had no intention of using it specifically on the real body of the golden-winged Dapeng eagle. You can't manifest your true body at any time during combat, can you? In Rosen's view, these supernatural powers can be freely unleashed in both the human body and the golden-winged eagle state, which is considered a divine power. Otherwise, it can only be considered a powerful instinct. That's not what he wants anymore. You have comprehended your flying instinct and your flying escape technique, which has rapidly improved. It has been upgraded to an unnamed escape technique. With a single shake of your wings, you can instantly cross 240,000 miles. I don't know how long it has been, but after comprehending this unnamed escape method, Rosen emerged from the cave, accompanied by a surge of magical power in his body. Behind him, an illusory wing shining with golden light instantly appeared. With a slight tremble of these imaginary wings, Rosen's figure suddenly disappeared into place. By the time he reappeared, he was already 240,000 miles away. What a flying escape method! I'm afraid even if it's the so-called Zongdi golden light, compared to my divine ability, I have to personally try it out to know that it's faster. The fleeting changes of the stars and the changing speed of heaven and earth truly delighted Rosen. Rosen's incredible intelligence, although indeed powerful, is currently lacking in depth. It was entirely through one's own exploration that one gradually created such a flying escape method out of nothing. After pondering for a moment, Rosen named this powerful method of escape Yinqing Wanli. Who made the golden-winged giant Peng carving, also known as the Yinqing Wanli Peng. After mastering the magical power of the vast expanse of clouds, Rosen once again began to study the means of capturing with sharp claws. Claw capture and flight are the instincts of the golden-winged eagle, which are easier than the other three imagined supernatural powers. But if it becomes a divine power, it's not that simple. You have comprehended the instinct of claw capture, and mastered the method of capturing to restrain change. Once again, after realizing a magical skill in a short period of time, Rosen was somewhat disappointed. Because there is a significant difference between the divine power he has comprehended and his anticipated abilities. Indeed, this kind of grasping technique is ultimately driven solely by one's own magic. Although due to the instinct of the golden-winged eagle, it has always been disadvantageous in crushing the weak. You can encounter those who are stronger than you, and you can rely on your strong cultivation to break free forcefully. After further contemplation, Rosen, with his mind wide open, incorporated the innate power of yin and yang into his claw capture. You have comprehended the fusion of yin and yang qi and claw capture. You have created a divine power, yin and yang great capture, indeed, it has become. At the moment of successful enlightenment, Rosen eagerly grabbed a distant mountain peak with his backhand. With Rosen's movements, in an instant, a big hand that was just a mix of black and white, blending and conquering appeared in the world. I grabbed the mountain peak in my hand. This huge black and white hand, as it grasps the mountain peak, creates a cycle of life and death between yin and yang. In a short period of time, the mountain peaks have been eroded by as much as 30%. The reason for this effect is that Rosen himself stimulates the production of yin and yang. If it's just a simple capture, unless the other party struggles desperately and triggers a cycle of yin and yang to generate resistance. Otherwise, it's just a matter of being caught tightly and unable to move. The more you struggle, the faster the circulation of yin and yang. Magic, cultivation, and realm will also be consumed more fiercely as a result. A simple grasp with sharp claws, combined with the divine power of innate yin and yang. In Rosen's hands, he possessed a bit of the power of the Hunyuan Golden Dough, the ability to cut people's mana, and the ability to cultivate individual skills. The skill of capturing yin and yang is much less in terms of mana consumption than the pure innate yin and yang energy. After all, this is a divine ability to capture and trap people, not a technique of killing and attacking. After all, innate yin and yang are the true supreme divine powers. Even if Rosen has a rebellious understanding and lacks cultivation, he can only run it 3 or 5 times at most and exhaust his mana. On the contrary, it integrates the mystery of the yin and yang qi into the claw capture, allowing this yin and yang great capture to possess the ability to trap and capture people, as well as to activate the yin and yang qi when the opponent resists, using the opponent's magic to weaken oneself in turn. I have to admit, this magical skill was really played by Rosen. After consecutively comprehending 2 powerful supernatural powers, Rosen prepared to continue his efforts. Continue to transform Devouring, Eagle Beak, and Golden Feather into powerful divine powers. A sudden warning sound instantly caught Rosen in surprise. Ding! Zhu Tian Wanjie Exchange Group, inviting you to join. Do you want to join? Yes, no, Wanjie Chat Group. Rosen had thought that his incredible intelligence was already his powerful golden finger. Unexpectedly, now even the second golden finger has appeared. Almost without hesitation, Rosen chose it directly. In the next moment, a semi-transparent chat panel instantly appeared in Rosen's sight. Ding! The Lord of Yin and Yang joins the communication group of the heavens and the world. Ding! Nine-tailed demon fox joins the communication group of the heavens and the world. Zhonghua Pavilion Master. Welcome both, I didn't expect it to be so long. Finally, a new member has appeared in this communication group of all heavens and all worlds. The female protagonist Jianxia said, has it been a long time since the nameless senior's place? It seems like it's only been a few days since then. Sword Demon. Lord Zhonghua, you promised me last time to compete with me in swordsmanship. But there was no more follow-up. I have been waiting for you for 2 months now. When will you finally have time to discuss swordsmanship with me? The female protagonist Jianxia said, Senior Sword Demon, now you have a newcomer. It's a bit too unpleasant to urge Senior Unknown to compete with you at this time, isn't it? Sword Demon. I don't argue with you, this girl. Throughout my life, I have only been a sword. Ah, you are a demon of the Yin and Gui sect. I can't understand how happy I am to meet someone who can argue with me in swordsmanship. Nine-tailed demon fox. What a strange thing. I have crafted countless magic treasures in my Baoqing workshop, and I have never seen such a thing before. The demon power is so hard to touch that it just floats in front of me. Is this a joke that some senior is making with me? Chapter 4. The Lord of Yin and Yang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Adding Rosen, there are only 5 people in the chat group now. But in this short period of time, Rosen had already guessed the identities of these people through brief communication with the other party. Indeed, in their communication, these people completely exposed their information and all the key words came out. The female protagonist Jianxia said, Nine-tailed demon fox. Is this a nickname, or is it a real demon that also appears in the chat group? Zhonghua Pavilion Master. It should just be a title. Just like Dugu, his nickname is Sword Demon, but he himself is just a swordsman obsessed with swordsmanship. Sword Demon. I have become a demon by practicing swordsmanship, hoping for a defeat that I cannot obtain. But I am not really a demon myself. Perhaps this nine-tailed demon fox is a charming and natural person, which is why it is called this in the chat group. Nine-tailed demon fox. You all look up to me. Oh, I'm not a seductive person. Besides, I'm not a nine-tailed demon fox either. The female protagonist Jianxia said, so it's really not a fox spirit. Xiao thought that monsters really appeared in the group this time. Nine-tailed demon fox. That's right. I am indeed a monster. My Baoqing Fong is also in the business of monsters. And I am also a fox demon. But I haven't reached nine-tailed yet. The female protagonist Jinsha said, is this true? Are you really a fox demon? Zhonghua Pavilion Master. Although I knew the existence of the heavens and all realms, I knew that one day I would see monsters. But I didn't expect that this day would come so fast. Sword Demon. Whether it's a demon or an immortal. The only thing I believe in is the sword in my hand. Even in my eyes, if there are really monsters in the world, it may not be a good thing. In this way, my carving brother can get rid of ignorance. The female protagonist Jinsha said, by the way. Isn't there another group member called the Lord of Yin and Yang? Why hasn't he been speaking? Are you still questioning the authenticity of the chat group? Sword Demon. The Lord of Yin and Yang has such a great name. It is easy to have Tai Chi, which is the birth of the two E's. The two E's are both Yin and Yang. Isn't the Lord of Yin and Yang claiming to be the Lord of all things in heaven and earth? Isn't this Lord of Yin and Yang a true immortal? Peeping through the screen, Rosen saw that the attention of the four group members was all focused on him. He knew it was time he came out and said something. The Lord of Yin and Yang. It's just a nickname in a chat group. I'm just born with the innate Yin and Yang Qi. The female protagonist of the world said, what is the innate Yin and Yang Qi? It seems that in order to break the void, one needs the ultimate power of Yin and Yang. But this innate Yin and Yang Qi has never been heard of. Sword Demon. Are you really a fairy? The Lord of Zhonghua Pavilion said, the innate Yin and Yang Qi are not self-formed Tai Chi. Even immortals may not be able to master such divine powers, right? Nine-tailed demon fox. No need to guess. I have some knowledge of the innate Yin and Yang Qi. However, as far as I know, the one who masters these divine powers is like the three cleanliness and six governors, the five elders of the five directions. In the chat group, there was an instant silence. Rosen is well aware that in this type of chat group, especially if he is not the master of the chat group, there is no need to show his strength without showing any trace. For example, he performed well just now. Although it's not without the support of a little fox, the owner of Baoqing Lane. But it can be certain that everyone in the chat group probably has an unfathomable impression of him. Little did they know that now Rosen is still a leftist cultivator who doesn't even know how strong he is. After appearing in the chat group, Rosen quickly let go of his concern for the chat group. For him now, what really matters is to first comprehend his divine powers. Only with strength can he maintain his status in the chat group and gain a free and unrestrained confidence in this vast world. Under the premise of not knowing his own strength and level, what Rosen needs to do is to improve himself in all aspects as much as possible. The Lord of Yin and Yang. Everyone, I'm going to meditate on a few divine powers. Let's talk when we have time tomorrow. Seeing Rosen disappear like this, the group once again experienced a moment of silence. Female Lord Tianxiao. Senior Fox Demon, may I ask, what exactly is this innate Yin and Yang Qi? Why is it that someone who masters this kind of energy would exist like the three cleans, six governors, and five elders of the five directions? My heart is puzzled, and I hope you can dispel your doubts, Senior. Zhonghua Pavilion Master. I'm also very curious. What is the innate Yin and Yang energy? Sword Demon. Yin and Yang are the two principles. It's just that these innate Yin and Yang two energies. Why on earth is it really Tai Chi, nine-tailed demon fox? We are just a small fox demon. We have limited knowledge of these great powers of mediation and creation. However, in legend, the existence of mastering these powers can generate countless things into Yin and Yang, and transform Yin and Yang into all things. All laws are inviolable, eternal tribulations are unforgettable, and eternal. In the chat group, due to the explanation of the little fox, Rosen was instantly elevated to an unpredictable level in the hearts of all the members. At this time, Rosen began to try to unleash his newly promoted acting skills. On the desolate hill, behind Rosen, a golden radiance shone, and a pair of huge wings that seemed unreal, as if they were about to block the sky and sun, emerged from behind him. When these wings appeared, golden feathers, resembling flying knives, suddenly shot out from the huge wings. On the opposite hill, a stream of light streamed across like raindrops. In the blink of an eye, the entire mountain was riddled with wounds and holes. Ha! Ha! Rosen breathed heavily as he quickly absorbed the energy of heaven and earth, regaining his own mana, while looking excitedly at the slowly collapsing mountain peak. Even though he was the initiator, he never expected that, with his mind wide open, he would refine the brilliant golden feathers of the golden-winged Depeng carving into a divine power, which would display such terrifying power. Shooting down, densely packed with countless feathers, each carrying the power to pierce through a mountain peak. Of course, although this move may seem incredibly powerful, it is actually used to clean up opponents like miscellaneous soldiers in the vast world. If it were a cultivator with the same level of strength, who also possesses some unique supernatural powers, or who has a magic weapon nearby, at most it would only be able to interfere with the opponent. Leave time for the next practical battle to travel thousands of miles and escape. However, it is not true that this divine skill cannot be further improved. If we ignore the consumption of mana and activate the innate yin and yang qi. So even stronger enemies than Rosen, unless they are surrounded by a precious treasure, will still be pierced by the yin-yang qi and golden feather, and their souls will be worn away, leaving no bones. After feeling that the mana has been restored to 7788, Rosen was about to use his incredible insight to deduce the power of the eagle beak once again. Two streams of light suddenly flew from the sky. In the blink of an eye, it landed in front of him. Chapter 5. The Two Saints of the West. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Taoist on the left is wearing a simple bun on his head, with a yellow face and a thin body. In her hand, she held a tree adorned with 7 treasures. Gold, silver, glass, clam, red pearl, and agate. The Taoist on the right side has a distressed expression and a dignified appearance as a treasure. At the moment he saw these two Taoist priests, Rosen fell into shock and stagnation. If he guessed correctly, the two people in front of him had a divine and solemn appearance, perfectly matching the two Western saints he knew. However, the two Western sages are the supreme saints, how could they appear in front of themselves? Seeing Rosen looking shocked, the Taoist, with a distressed expression, clasped his hands together and nodded slightly, saying, "Goodness is goodness. My Taoist friend has unexpectedly set foot in my Western land. I am so polite to welcome you." Rosen's heart thumped. I haven't waited for him to speak yet. The person standing beside him also nodded at Rosen and said, "I'm sorry, but I'll meet you, my friend. There's no need to guess now. The two people in front of me are obviously the two Western saints who are not even concerned about their appearance for the sake of Western religion. With all my heart set on going to the east to catch the autumn breeze, whether it's seeing any magic treasures or meeting any qualified cultivators, opening my mouth is like saying, destined to the west." Rosen's heart became increasingly uneasy. I'm afraid that in the next moment, from the mouths of the two Western sages, I will hear a saying that my fellow Taoist and I are destined to the west. Having calmed down, Rosen dared not neglect and quickly performed an inappropriate etiquette. Dao. Rosen has seen two seniors. Dare not. Dare not. The Zhuanti Taoist smiled slightly and explained, "Dao, you and my senior brother are both from the west. Just call them Dao brother." Now Rosen has some differences, and he doesn't even realize how strong the Western two saints are. But this also indirectly proves that the strength of the two Western sages can definitely easily crush themselves. But, for some reason, the two Western sages were so polite to themselves as a novice cultivator. Even with the appearance of discussing friendship with one's peers. In his mind, he was confused, but Rosen dared not easily accept it. You know, these are the two saints of the West. He is a sage who practices the way on behalf of the heavens. In the vast and desolate world, only 3,000 guests from the Purple Sky Palace can discuss friendship with the sage. Even the only ones who can truly be recognized by the two Western sages are probably Sanqing and Nanyue. How can one be virtuous and capable? A person who has just emerged from the eggshell, in the eyes of Yuanshi Tianzuan, is the wet-born egg-transforming generation. How dare you discuss friendship with sages of the same generation? Perhaps it was because of Rosen's confusion. The Taoist priest took the initiative to explain, in the West, I am barren. For many years, apart from the creatures enlightened by the poor and my junior brothers, there have been very few people who share the same path. My Taoist friend can be said to be the only one I have seen in many years. Moreover, my Taoist friend is extraordinary. He is enough to discuss friendship with my senior brothers on an equal footing. The more the guide said this, the more uneasy Rosen felt in his heart. Indeed, the impression of the two saints of the West in my past life has been deeply ingrained. I don't know how many genius treasures from the East, cultivators with unparalleled talent, were either abducted or forcibly taken to the West by the two Western saints. Fearing that he would fall into the calculations of the two Western sages in the next moment, Rosen hesitated for a moment before finally bravely bowing to both the guide and the quasi-guide. Tao. Poor Taoist Rosen, I have seen Brother Jane and Brother Zhuanti. Great goodness. The guide Taoist and the assistant Taoist smiled at each other and said, Friend Rosen, would you like to go with me to chaos outside the realm, and listen to the Taoist ancestors lecture on the Great Way in the Zixiao Palace? With a movement in his heart, Rosen suddenly realized that the time of his birth was actually when the Taoist preached. It's just that Daozu Hongjun has preached 3 times in total, and I don't know how many times it is now. You should know that when the Taoist preached, it was also the time when the war of witches and demons was raging. Even halfway through, Hongjun Daoji personally appeared and stopped the escalating war between the Lich and demon tribes, making a promise for both sides not to continue the war for 10,000 years. More importantly, after Hongjun Daozu preached 3 times, the 6 saints were preaching one after another. So, haven't even the human race appeared yet? In an instant, so many thoughts flashed through his mind, and Rosen, who was concerned, immediately agreed to stay. I had a shallow cultivation before. Although I knew the teachings of the Taoist ancestor, my cultivation was not successful. I cannot go to chaos. If I could get the help of my 2 brothers, I would be extremely grateful. Rosen readily agreed to the invitation from the 2 saints of the West. Just kidding, this is the preaching of Taoist ancestor Hongjun. Go on a trip, regardless of whether you have gained anything or not, your ranking and face will immediately rise. Don't forget, even after the 6 saints demonstrated their teachings, they still treated the 3,000 guests in the Zixiao Palace with kindness. At the very least, it maintained respect in terms of performance. Even the shameless Randang Taoist took the initiative to become a disciple of the primordial heavenly sovereign, and then directly became a deputy leader in the elucidation. Being able to go to the Zixiao Palace to listen to the teachings, no matter how unlucky it is, with this kind of affection, one may be hesitant in the future and not be able to grow up. More importantly, with a rebellious understanding, Rosen felt that he could gain tremendous rewards during the preaching of Daozu Hongjun. So far, almost everything about Rosen has come from his innate yin and yang energy and his own golden-winged eagle. It can be said that he is walking entirely on the left side of the road. In the wilderness, the orthodox sect of Xianmen was established after the preaching of Daoist ancestor Hongjun. Including Sanqing, Nanyue, and the other 3,000 guests from Zixiao Palace, they are all considered authentic members of the Xianmen sect. However, the 2 saints of the West have opened up 800 side doors. Rosen's wild path can only be considered as a left lane. Now that he has come together with the 2 Western sages, it seems like he has gathered some outsiders. Although Rosenli's inexplicable passion for the two saints of the West still filled his heart with vigilance. But under the great temptation of being able to go to Zixiao Palace to listen to the teachings, he ultimately chose to swallow the bait in one gulp before speaking. As for what calculations the two Western sages have, it will be a matter of the future. Even, being able to be calculated by Western saints may not necessarily be a good thing for wild roaders like Rosen. In a short period of time, due to the initiative of the two Western sages, Rosen did not hesitate, and the three of them quickly became acquainted. With the guidance of the two Western sages, Rosen almost did not take any detours and arrived at the chaos outside the domain. For the current Rosen, extraterritorial chaos is indeed very dangerous. But the two Western saints seem to have some ulterior motives on Rosen, escorting him all the way to the Purple Sky Palace. By the time Rosen and the Western two saints arrived, nearly 1,000 cultivators had already gathered outside the Purple Sky Palace. These cultivators are all powerful giants capable of dominating the world in the midst of the vast wilderness. Just the familiar image made Rosen instantly recognize the future ancestor of earthly immortals, Zhen Yuanzi, the Red Cloud ancestor who would be killed after 3 sermons, and the Styx ancestor with a black and red robe and a fierce face. Dong Wang Tai, who is in the limelight, and the Demon Emperor Jun. Chapter 6. The Importance of Mystery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. During the time waiting for Daozu Hongjun to speak. Outside the Purple Sky Palace, various leaders gathered in groups of 3 to 2 to discuss something. Only the Western two saints and Rosen were pitiful, but no one paid attention. At first, Rosen was a bit strange. Even among the 3,000 guests in the Purple Sky Palace, the cultivation of the Western two saints was considered the strongest. More powerful than the Western two saints are probably only the big shots such as San Qing, Dong Wang Tai, and Yao Emperor Jun, who are less than enough hands. In theory, the two Western sages should have a wide range of interactions. But in fact, like Rosen, both the hitchhiker and the hitchhiker are from the West. I couldn't chat with many guests from the Purple Sky Palace in the first place. Who would have thought that the battle between Daozu Hongjun and Mozu Luogui completely destroyed the Western spiritual lineage and gave birth to the two Western saints? This was also a compensation from the heavenly way. Rosen can only be considered an outlier. Apart from their background reasons, the important reason why the Western two saints were not welcomed by other guests in the Purple Cloud Palace was that when Daozu Hongjun first gave a lecture, the Western two saints, disregarding their face, kidnapped Hongyun ancestor and Kuanpeng in a moral way. You should know that besides Daozu Hongjun, there are only 6 Puchuans in the entire Zixiao Palace. Even though everyone was not clear about the meaning of Futuan at the beginning. But for the inferior practices of the two Western sages, it's still very contemptuous. Rosen came together with the Western two saints, and due to his weak strength, he was naturally classified by others as a member of the Western two saints small group. Just like this, it doesn't fit Rosen's mind. He came to the Zixiao Palace to listen to the teachings, not only because he wanted to use his rebellious understanding to solidify his own foundation. The most crucial thing is to show your face in front of these 3,000 guests in the Purple Sky Palace. Rosen is not worried, after too many causes and effects, he will face future disasters. After all, Rosen knows the future, so it's better to avoid those big pitfalls in advance. But now it's better because being with the Western two saints, I was misunderstood by others. This is not showing my face, but instead revealing my buttocks. The thoughts in my mind are spinning rapidly. Just as Rosen was pondering how to break the game. Little did they know that most of the topics discussed by the monks gathered in groups of 3 or 2 at this moment were related to him. Brother. There seems to be something wrong with the guy following Jian and Zhuanti. Accompanied by Chaos Bell, the strength of Emperor Tai is definitely the first person under the sage. In this era where even the sages have not yet returned to power, as the lord of the demon clan's heavenly court, Emperor Tai is a powerful figure who can to some extent even suppress the 3 cleans. Seeing Rosen, who came to the Purple Sky Palace with the Western two saints, he couldn't even calculate his existence. Emperor Tai will naturally take it seriously. Even in silence, Emperor Taichi had already used the power of the Chaos Clock to evolve the mysteries of the Heavenly Way and calculated the foundation of Rosen. Unfortunately, nothing was achieved. In addition to calculations, Rosen seems to be related to the path of yin and yang, with deep connections that can even be traced back to before the beginning of the Dragon Han Rebellion. I can't calculate anything else. It is precisely because of this that Rosen, who is not strong and follows behind the Western two saints, has attracted the attention of Emperor Tai of the East. The Demon Emperor nodded solemnly. Holding the river map and Luo book in hand, the Demon Emperor Jun was no less skilled in deduction than the Eastern Emperor. But he was also unable to calculate Rosen's foundation. Although this person is not strong now, he should not be underestimated. In the future, you and my brothers may as well make friends with each other. If our demon tribe wants to unify the vast world, we must consider these cultivators. Emperor Jun pondered for an instant and said. While being valued by the two heavenly emperors of the demon clan Heavenly Court. Sanqing brothers, Niuhua and Fuxi siblings, Styx River, Red Cloud Ancestor, Shen Yuanzi, and others are almost all discussing the origin of Rosen. Unfortunately, Rosen, as a time traveler, first used the method of subtracting and shifting causality while inside the eggshell, cutting off the causal relationship between himself and the phoenix seed. In addition, the innate yin and yang qi seem to have a deep origin. Moreover, it pulled Rosen's heel to a level that almost no one could calculate except for Daozu Hongjun. In the vast world, mystery to some extent represents strength. Although under the system of chaos, the power of cultivators is omnidirectional. But innate weight should also not be underestimated. Being able to hide one's own heel not only represents, but also to a considerable extent, avoiding innate obstacles. No wonder Rosen was so valued by the guests in Zixiao Palace. I don't know how much controversy I have caused. After hesitating for a long time, Rosen finally apologized to the two Western sages and walked toward Sanqing, Niuhua, and Fuxi siblings. That's right. Rosen is getting ready to hug his thighs. The current Sanqing, although occupying the top 3 cattails in the Zixiao Palace. But no one knows that the 6 cattails in the Zixiao Palace symbolize the sacred position of the legitimate lineage of the Daoist Hongjun Xianmen. At this point, if you don't hug your thighs, why don't you wait until the other person becomes holy and flip over to add the icing on the cake? Rosen's actions instantly caught the attention of everyone outside the Purple Sky Palace. Hardened to face Sanqing, Rosen nodded and saluted, saying, "Poor Rosen, I have met all the seniors. I dare not." Tai Qing's eyes fixed and he smiled, "We are all under the tutelage of Daozu. Mr. Rosen, you can call us Daoxiong." The monks who listen to the teachings in the Zixiao Palace have always had a tacit understanding that they are of the same generation as each other. That's also why, after being apprenticed by the Yuanshi Heavenly Master, the Burning Lamp Taoist would make many people look down upon him. In this public environment, even if Rosen has low strength and is a new face, Tai Qing cannot directly respond to the title of Rosen Senior. Rosen followed suit and readily agreed. Rosen has met Brother Tai Qing, Brother Yuanshi. Brother Tong Tian. After a slight pause, Rosen bowed to Niuhua as if bowing to the dock. When Sanqing and Niuhua returned their greetings, Rosen seemed like a social terrorist, greeting the other cultivators while being very familiar with their interactions. Unfortunately, Rosen did not know that his behavior actually led everyone to tacitly classify him with the Western two saints. When the two Western sages first arrived at Zixiao Palace, they were shameless, crying and making a fuss, and finally successfully managed to grab 2 cattails. At this moment, Rosen's approach seems to be a replica of the Western two saints in the hearts of these cultivators. While being guarded by other cultivators, Rosen also made the eyes of the 2 Western saints shine with approval. In my heart, I silently sighed and said, Mr. Rosen is truly worthy of being born in the West. From the beginning, he began to run for the West for me. Chapter 7. The current situation of Daozu. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Taking the initiative to take a big turn outside the gate of Zixiao Palace, Rosen was completely unaware of the vigilance and resistance of these cultivators towards him in their hearts. He just subconsciously believes that this reaction is only caused by these cultivators, who have been practicing in seclusion for years and are not good at communicating with others. With great pride, he turned around and met almost all the prominent figures present, blending in with a familiar face. A cultivator who had just emerged from chaos suddenly caught Rosen's attention. Wearing a white long dress, with skin that surpasses snow, her graceful figure exudes a unique maternal radiance on her beautiful face. At first, Rosen didn't recognize who this late-arriving nun was. But soon, through Emperor Jun and Eastern Emperor Tai, Rosen's undisguised killing intent towards this female cultivator was instantly reflected. Being able to make the demon emperor care so much, it seems that only the witch clan is left in the entire wilderness. Due to the lack of primordial gods among the Wu ethnic group, except for the first preaching, the 12 ancestral witches arrived together, and since then, the ancestral witches have never come to the Zixiao Palace again. The only exception is Hudu. The last sermon, this time, not only did Hudu come, but he even gained insight into the future of the witch race, and finally understood his own destiny. Before the final battle of the witch race, he transformed into reincarnation, providing an opportunity for all spirits in the wilderness to reincarnate and be reborn. Avoiding the fate of the lonely and helpless soul. At the moment when he guessed the identity of Hudu, Rosen's eyes lit up and he was about to step forward and look familiar. The gate of Zixiao Palace behind me opened silently. It seems like a mysterious light, passing by out of nothing. In an instant, all the cultivators present fell silent. One by one, they respectfully bowed towards the opening gate of the Purple Sky Palace, and then rushed in. Rosen hesitated for a moment and quietly followed behind the Western two saints, sneaking into the Purple Sky Palace. Among the 3,000 guests in this Purple Sky Palace, Rosen's strength is the lowest. But at the same time, he is also the most feared. Who let Rosen, with his appearance as a social terrorist, come together with the two saints of the West? Greeting everyone without any hesitation. Emperor Jun and Eastern Emperor Tai of the Demon Tribe. Sanqing, Nuwa. If it weren't for the late arrival of Hutu and the timely opening of the Zixiao Palace gate, he might not have even let Hutu go. This kind of person is the most terrifying in the eyes of a cultivator in the wilderness. You should know that except for the sage who is not afraid of cause and effect, other cultivators are not silent about the measure of calamity. Except for 3 or 5 close friends, who would foolishly make friends all over the world. Isn't this actively entangling cause and effect on oneself? The more entangled the cause and effect, the greater the crisis that should be dealt with in the future. Rosen's recklessness has truly caused shock to countless people. Even the monks present almost unanimously believe that Rosen and the two saints of the West must be together. Perhaps all of his actions were voluntarily reminded by the two Western sages. With the cultivation of Hongjun Daozu, it is easy to open up space. But the area inside the Zixiao Palace is not large. At most, it's like a large venue that can accommodate up and down 3,000 people. Moreover, in the Zixiao Palace, apart from 6 cattails placed at the forefront, the other positions were flat, without even a place to sit. Having a clear understanding of his identity and status, Rosen, upon arriving at the Purple Sky Palace, was very self-awarely at the end of the queue. Wait until everyone sits cross-legged. On the high platform of Zixiao Palace, a Taoist holding a bamboo stick appeared out of thin air and instantly landed on the highest altar. His indifferent and merciless eyes seemed like the towering heavenly Tao, overlooking everything. Looking over the numerous cultivators in the Purple Sky Palace, Hongjun Daozu did not see any movement. The Taoist on the side struck the precious bell in time, accompanied by pleasant sound waves sweeping by. The third sermon, it's an instant opening. You have heard the sages preaching, and your rebellious understanding has made you realize the shortcomings of your left path technique, the yin-yang two-chi decision. With the sage's way, you begin to make up for the shortcomings of the yin-yang two-chi decision. The yin-yang two-chi decision is elevated to the innate yin-yang two-chi decision. You listen to the sage's preaching, and your realm begins to rapidly improve. With an understanding of the heavens, you realize yourself and make up for many spiritual deficiencies. Your technique of transformation has been elevated to the 36 heavenly gang dharma due to the teachings of the sage, and has been transformed into a new form. Your flying escape technique has been improved for thousands of miles. Your yin-yang great capture has been improved, becoming the yin-yang two-chi great capture. Your realm has been elevated and your magic has been enhanced. You have become a xianxian cultivator. Under the guidance of Daozu Hongjun, Rosen's strength rapidly improved like riding a rocket, driven by his extraordinary intelligence. At this moment, Rosen realized that he had only been a small shrimp in the realm of immortality before. You should know that in the upcoming witch-demon battle, the realm of immortality cannot even be considered as a miscellaneous fish. The above Xianxian, Jinxian, and even Tai Jinxian are just top-up numbers. The one who can truly influence the outcome of a small-scale battle is the Luo Jinxian. Even the quasi-holy powers under the saints, in such terrifying tribulations as the Lich Wars, are only destined to be sacrificed to ashes. Under the quasi-saint, whether it is the great Luo Golden Immortal or the Tai Golden Immortal, they are all cannon fodder. Not to mention Rosen, who has just been elevated to the status of a Xianxian. Under the teachings of Daozu Hongjun, although Rosen's strength, realm, and mana were rapidly improving. But his incredible intelligence still made Rosen feel something was wrong. The method of Hongjun Daozu, who integrated the vast wilderness and opened up the authentic Xianmen sect, seems to conflict with his innate yin and yang qi. Surprised to notice this, Rosen immediately fell into a dilemma. I began to hesitate whether to completely overturn my innate yin-yang dual energy determination and rebuild my cultivation methods with the orthodox philosophy of the Xianmen sect. Just when Rosen hesitated, a sudden voice rang out in front of him in an instant. Rosen was immediately taken aback. You should know that at this moment, it is the Taoist ancestor Hongjun who preaches. There are 3,000 guests in the Purple Sky Palace, and they dare not even wander. Who would stand in front of themselves and talk to themselves at this moment? Startled, Rosen looked in front of him and instantly began to doubt his own eyes. Because standing in front of him, it turned out to be Daozu Hongjun himself. Glancing at the high platform, another Daozu Hongjun sat cross-legged, continuing to explain the mystery of the Xianmen Avenue to the 3,000 Purple Sky Palace members. Don't be surprised, the person preaching on stage is Hongjun, and the one standing in front of you is also Hongjun. Compared to the ruthless Daozu Hongjun on the high platform, the Daozu Hongjun standing in front of Rosen at this moment revealed a more obvious human nature. Even in the gaze towards Rosen, there was a hint of incredible nostalgia. Unexpectedly, there are intergenerational descendants like you among the yin-yang Dao friends, said Hongjun Daozu to himself. But you have found that your Dao conflicts with our Xianmen sect. Chapter 8. The possibility of becoming a saint through preaching. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yin-yang Dao friend. This title confused Rosen's mind. I quickly realized it. It seems that there was a profound but unknown measurement calamity in between, after the Dragon Han Rebellion and before the Lich Demon Measurement Rebellion. Even this time, the number of people involved in the looting was pitifully small. All participants were once famous talents. And the protagonist of that measurement calamity was one of Daozu Hongjun in front of him, and the other was the culprit who instigated the Dragon Han's initial calamity, causing the blood to flow into a river of dragons, phoenixes, and Qilins, the demon ancestor Luo Gui. In the struggle between Dao and Mo, in addition to the two main characters, Daozu Hongjun and Mo Zhu Luo Gui, there are also figures such as Yin Yang Taoist, Qiankuan Taoist, and Yang Mei Immortal. After the defeat of the demon ancestor Luo Yi, this struggle between Dao and Mo not only laid the foundation for the future prosperity of the Xianmen. Because it happened in the West, it completely destroyed the Western spiritual lineage. That's also why the two Western sages often cry out about the poverty of the West. The initiator was the great battle between Daozu Hongjun and Mozu Luogui. It is precisely because of the struggle between Taoism and demons that the West, which should have produced many talented individuals, has completely become a barren land. Of course, Rosen's focus is not on the impact of the Dao-Mo conflict. But in the mouth of Hongjun Daozu, this so-called yin-yang Taoist seems to have a deep relationship with himself. The thoughts in his mind raced, and Rosen quickly pondered, quickly identifying the suspect. It seems that apart from the innate yin and yang qi, one cannot have any relationship with any yin and yang Taoist. Thinking back, when I first came into contact with the innate yin and yang qi, my understanding reminded me of the residual consciousness of ancient powers. Rosen suddenly realized that the innate yin and yang qi must have a close relationship with the yin and yang Taoist, and may even belong to the yin and yang Taoist himself. However, in the struggle between Dao and Mo, the yin-yang Taoist helped Hongjun Daozu and died at the hands of Mo Zhu Luogui. Afterwards, the innate yin and yang qi were obtained by Yuan Feng and left to the unborn golden-winged giant Peng Eagle. As for why, in the future, the golden-winged Peng Eagle would foolishly refine such powerful divine powers into an unparalleled yin-yang gas cylinder, and even destroy the yin-yang gas cylinder in the hands of Sun Wukong. This is not difficult to understand. The yin and yang Taoist has truly fallen, and the innate yin and yang qi only engraved the Tao and Dharma in his residual consciousness. After a long time, by the time the golden-winged giant Peng carving was born, perhaps the remaining consciousness, Tao, and Dharma would have been erased by time. It can only be said that Rosen's appearance was too coincidental, and he happened to pick up a big bargain. Guessing the truth behind it, Rosen immediately let go of his tightly held heart. Saluting respectfully to Daozu Hongjun's head, he said, "Disciple Rosen, I have seen the teacher." Daozu Hongjun shook his head and received half a salute from Rosen on his side. "Although you come to listen to my teachings, you cannot be considered my disciple. You cannot call me a teacher." Rosen was dumbfounded at once. "What's going on? I came to Zixiao Palace to hear about it, isn't it just to mix up a different identity? How could those unknown and low-key cultivators in the future be able to praise Zhu Hongjun as a teacher, but on the contrary, they themselves were rejected in person?" Before Rosen could figure it out, Daozu Hongjun took the initiative to explain, "You are a disciple of Yin-Yang Daoyu. Yin-Yang Daoyu helped me through a disaster in the beginning, but in the end, you should have been robbed of ashes. The heavenly way destined that yin-yang Dao you should have had your Dharma meridians cut off. However, the great way is 50, and the heavenly extension is 40.9. Escaping one of them, it is you who has inherited the Dharma meridians of yin-yang Dao you. I was originally in the midst of completing the Dao demon's calamity and yin-yang Dao you the cause and effect of my Dharma meridians. So you can come to my Purple Sky Palace to listen to me, but you cannot call me teacher." Rosen suddenly fell into a dilemma and looked hesitantly at Daozu Hongjun, seeming to be in a dilemma about how to call him Daozu. "I once had an unbreakable friendship with my yin-yang Dao friends. Just call me Master Uncle. With great determination, at this point, Rosen could only push the boat with ease. Respectfully bowing, he said, "Disciple Rosen, have you seen Senior Uncle?" "Great goodness." Daozu Hongjun nodded slightly and said, "You were born in the West, inheriting the Yin and Yang Dao's friend Dharma meridians. Although you have received guidance from me, you can only be a named disciple. You are the same. When they come together, they should open 800 side gates. You should inherit the left way." With a twitch of his mouth, Rosen thought to himself, "By the way, this is not a good thing. How could I have just been born and inexplicably joined the camp of the Western Two Saints? No. To be precise, he cannot yet join the camp of the Western two saints. After all, they are 800 outsiders. He is on the left. We are completely different from each other. As if guessing Rosen's thoughts at this moment, Daozu Hongjun smiled slightly and said, "You don't need to worry. The main road is 3000, and there is also a possibility of the left road becoming a saint." Rosen's heart became even more desolate. What is this? Psychological comfort. Even if it is an authentic sect, it is extremely difficult to attain enlightenment and become a saint. Not to mention being an outsider. You should know that the two Western sages, in order to achieve enlightenment and sanctity, have made a grand wish. Even if heaven and earth reopen, they will continue to repay the cause and effect of the heavenly way. He is probably even more miserable as a leftist. As for the method of using force to prove the Tao, even Pangu has failed. Even with a rebellious understanding, Rosen dare not say that he can definitely walk this path. Moreover, it is not certain whether there is any leftist element in the method of achieving the sanctity of the 3000 teachings. Just as Rosen was secretly grieving for his future, his gaze turned to Daozu Hongjun and he saw the mysterious smile on the face of the first saint of the wilderness. Rosen was immediately hit with a rod. Busily bowing to Daozu Hongjun and Jisho, he said, "Master, teach me. A child can be taught." Daozu Hongjun seemed to be waiting for Rosen to speak, nodding his head and smiling, saying, "I have established the orthodox sect of Xianmen with Honghuang. The techniques of Yin-Yang Dao Friends, Qian Kun Dao Friends, and others are all techniques of the left way." Although he seemed to say these words with a smile, Rosen could hear the arrogance of the humanized Taoist ancestor Hongjun in his heart. It's not difficult to understand just thinking about it. Daozu Hongjun is the first existence to prove the sanctity of the Tao. How could there not be that kind of domineering arrogance? Rosen looked eagerly at Daozu Hongjun. Daozu Hongjun did not make Rosen wait long. "My sect is authentic, with 3000 great paths and a wide range of techniques in the left way. Since you have inherited the left way, you should open up your own path. Don't fall for the pride of Yin-Yang Dao Friends and others." Rosen didn't speak, but waited quietly for Hongjun Daozu to come up with practical benefits. If it were before Daozu Hongjun opened the small stove, after a while of hesitation, Rosen may have been determined to push his innate yin and yang dual energy to the true sect of the Xianmen. But now, Daozu Hongjun personally said that he would inherit the left way's lineage. In this situation, does Rosen still have a choice? I am now able to claim the title of Master Uncle of the ancestor of the Tao, which is derived from inheriting the Yin-Yang Taoist lineage. If I refuse, will God know that this Taoist ancestor who preaches the world will directly drive me away from Zixiao Palace? Chapter 9. Methods of Testimony. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I don't know if from the beginning, Hongjun Daozu had no intention of giving Rosen any benefits. But at this moment, he was eagerly watched by Rosen. I changed my mind again. Daozu Hongjun pondered for an instant and said, "You are not the authentic sect of our Xianmen sect, but have inherited the left path of Yin and Yang Dao Friends. I cannot disrupt your inheritance. However, since you have entered my Zixiao Palace to listen to the Tao, you cannot return empty-handed." The next moment, a mysterious and profound scripture came from the mouth of Daozu Hongjun. "You have listened to the sage's preaching, and your supernatural understanding has instantly integrated you. You have mastered the great divine power of the 36 heavenly gang techniques. Inverting yin and yang, although it is only a great supernatural power, such a power itself is an exposition of the great way." Rosen was completely intoxicated. Regardless of the visitors, like a dried sponge, he integrated all the scriptures told by Daozu Hongjun by opening a small stove. You should know that the great power of reversing yin and yang may seem like a simple utilization of yin and yang. But this divine skill ranks second among the 36 laws of the heavenly gang, second only to mediation and creation. Mediating and creating is the power of Nu to create humans, to create from nothing, transform essence, create all things, and even subvert the laws of the universe, redefining new laws. Compared to that, reversing yin and yang is no less impressive. After truly comprehending this great supernatural power, he was surprised to find that the essence of reversing yin and yang is to make heaven and earth lose their order, and the sun and moon lose their composure. Inverting right and wrong, mixing food with black and white. This divine skill, if cultivated to the extreme, is the ability to manipulate the opposite of yin and yang in things. It can be said that in the Purple Cloud Palace, Rosen's greatest achievement was this great skill. The essence of this divine skill can even enhance Rosen's leftist cultivation, the power of innate yin and yang dual energy determination. It is a true way, not a simple dharma. I don't know how long it has been, except for insufficient strength and mana in Lawson. Unable to fully unleash the power of this great supernatural skill. When I have almost completely mastered this divine skill. By his ear, the indifferent and heartless voice of Daozu Hongjun clearly reached his ears. This sermon ends here. After the words of Daozu Hongjun fell, there was a moment of silence in the Zixiao Palace. But soon, an urgent voice came over. Teacher, be merciful and beg for your guidance on the method of proving the Tao. This voice is like the common voice of all the cultivators present here. Rosen heard it clearly, but he had no way of judging who said it. I can't even hear the source of the sound. There are 3,000 great roads, and every one can form a way. However, there are 3 ways to prove the way. One is to prove the way with strength, the other is to chop 3 corpses to prove the way, and the third is to prove the way with merit. Which of these 3 is stronger or weaker? It's this inexplicable voice coming again. Rosen looked eagerly at Daozu Hongjun, waiting for Daozu's explanation. The Tao is neither noble nor lowly, and cannot be achieved without great power. However, among these 3, the strength of the Tao is the strongest, beheading 3 corpses comes second, and merit proves the Tao again. I earnestly request the teacher to guide us on the method of achieving enlightenment and becoming holy. The previous inquiry was theoretical, so now it's practical. Hongjun Daozu did not have any intention of hiding anything, but he himself was the one who beheaded 3 corpses to prove the Tao and imparted it to everyone, which is naturally the same method. After the final explanation of the method of beheading 3 corpses to prove the Tao, Daozu Hongjun said straightforwardly, number starts from 1, stands at 3, becomes at 5, thrives at 7, and reaches the extreme of 9. 9 is the extreme of number. Between heaven and earth, there should be 9 holy positions. Hongjun Daozu waved his hand casually, and 3 layers of Hongmeng purple qi suddenly appeared out of nowhere, flying towards Sanqing sitting on the lower head of the cattail. Sanqing is my personally passed down disciple, who holds the legacy of the founding merit. He should be able to become a saint. Now everyone is envious. The 2 Western sages are even more eager to cry and plead. Loudly say, Teacher, be merciful and have mercy on us. As if we had talked about the performance of the Western 2 sacred churches for a long time, Daozu Hongjun said expressionlessly, you 2 are not my own disciples, but named disciples. In the future, we should open another 800 paths outside of our Xianmen sect. You can become saints. At the moment when the words fell, 2 more Hongmeng purple auras flew towards the Western 2 saints. The 2 Western sages were immediately moved to tears of gratitude. After incorporating the Hongmeng purple qi into their bodies, they hurriedly kowtowed and thanked Daozu Hongjun. In the future, Nu will have great merits. She can become a saint. Another brilliant purple aura has yet to emerge. Now everyone can't sit still. Just now, Daozu Hongjun personally said that in the realm of 9 digits, there should be 9 holy positions between heaven and earth. In the blink of an eye, 6 out of the 9 spots had already been occupied. If we add the first saint, Daozu Hongjun, So isn't it true that there are only 2 holy thrones left in the vast and desolate world? For a moment, the Zixiao Palace was in chaos, and everyone was constantly begging for Daozu Hongjun. I hope to be granted a holy throne. Only Rosen is very clear that this last holy throne is the largest pit that has ever been created. Whoever takes it will die. Red Cloud Ancestor will definitely fall victim to this last layer of Hongmeng purple qi. Now that I have more of myself, who knows if I will let the last rosy purple aura fall on my head if I speak recklessly. Although bowing to Daozu Hongjun with the flow, Rosen had no intention of speaking. At this moment, everyone was begging for help from Daozu Hongjun, but Rosen's unusual behavior still caught the attention of a very small number of people. Seeing everyone pleading incessantly, Daozu Hongjun hesitated for a while before sighing and saying, "It's okay. The Hongmeng purple qi, the last foundation of the Tao, depends on your own luck." As soon as the words fell, a Hongmeng purple aura flew out of Daozu Hongjun's hand once again. 3,000 guests from the Purple Sky Palace, there is no trace of the mighty image of the wilderness at this moment. They eagerly watch the constantly wandering Hongmeng purple qi in the air, and in their hearts, they are even more eager to fall on their own heads. Quickly, when the Hongmeng purple qi flew in front of the Red Cloud Ancestor, it fell into his hands in an instant. The foolish and happy Red Cloud Ancestor had no idea that he had become a thorn in the eye and flesh of countless people. The disaster of killing is not far away. With an increasingly indifferent gaze, Daozu Hongjun swept over the crowd and said, "When I traveled around the world, I collected many magic treasures. Now that I am about to merge with the Tao, I will bestow these treasures on you for the purpose of protecting the Tao. The disciple has no possessions. I beg Master Uncle's mercy and bestow upon me the treasure of protection." Rosen spoke loudly out of place. Attracted everyone's gaze to oneself. Indeed, everyone in the Zixiao Palace refers to Daozu Hongjun as a teacher. Only Rosen, who is weak in strength and a newcomer, would be referred to as a martial uncle. The reason why Rosen deliberately caught his attention was not only because he wanted to establish himself as the only one in the Purple Sky Palace who called him Uncle Daozu Hongjun. The most crucial thing is that he knows that when Daozu Hongjun said it was a treasure, in fact, except for the Tianding saints on those 6 caddies, others can only go to Funbao Rock to grab it themselves. Poor Rosen is only a Xianxian cultivator now. Even if he has mastered the great power of reversing yin and yang, he has not been able to fully transform into his own foundation and strength. In the Purple Sky Palace, this is not a quasi-saint, but among the people of the great Luo Golden Immortal. Even if he goes to grab it, he can't even turn a hair on him. Rosen was also helpless. Chapter 10. The Bright Path of the Heavenly Way. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the vast and desolate world, almost all treasures have a fixed number. The way of heaven is destined, it was just you. Otherwise, if one seeks recklessly, it will actually lead to causality. Rosen doesn't have such a big physique now, he can withstand the settlement of the heavenly way's cause and effect. You should know that after the 3rd preaching of Hongjun Daozu, with his own body united and the rule of the sage, the lich demon Liang Jia almost shattered the vast land. Now Rosen, who is just a mysterious immortal, has performed many supernatural powers on his own. Even though he has mastered the great supernatural power of reversing yin and yang and transforming the fetus into shape, the probability of survival is still not high after being caught up in the calamity of quantity. Improve your strength in a short period of time, even if you have the ability to overcome adversity, it still doesn't show up. So, obtaining a few powerful treasures undoubtedly enables Rosen to successfully cope with many calamities. The best way to obtain a powerful treasure is undoubtedly now. Who gave way to Zhu Hongjun, who generously distributed the treasure. Hongjun Daozu combined his body with the Tao, so the treasures he distributed can be considered as crossing the path of the heavenly Tao to some extent. At this moment, Hongjun Daozu does not have the same humanity as before, when he alone opened a small stove for Rosen and taught him the power of reversing yin and yang. On the contrary, it exudes a ruthless indifference of the heavenly way. Glancing at Rosen, Hongjun nodded slightly and said, "Sure." Accompanied by a casual wave from Daozu Hongjun. Four streams of light suddenly flew in front of Rosen. These four treasures are undoubtedly two lamps, one sword with a yin-yang Tai Chi shape and a long sword body covered in black and white interlaced patterns. Finally, there is a 1-foot 7-inch flag with a dark red color. Among the four treasures, Rosen vaguely guessed that this flag might be the South Earth Flame Light flag among the innate 5 flags. But he couldn't be certain either. But the remaining 2 lamps and the black and white long sword, however, Rosen could not match the vast treasure he knew with these 3 treasures no matter what. Tentatively reaching out his hand, at the moment when Rosen touched the flag. The voice of Hongjun Daozu seemed to ring in his consciousness. This is the Southern Leaving Earth Flame Light flag. When this flag is displayed, it has the effects of confusing yin and yang, reversing the 5 elements, evading evil, and preventing all kinds of invasions. It can be used for self-defense with you. Rosen didn't know if anyone else had heard the sound, but at this moment, when he realized that this flag was truly the Southern Ground Flame flag, it was the innate pentagonal flag. He was immediately excited and bowed in the direction of Daozu Hongjun. "Thank you, senior uncle, disciple." Surprised, he collected the ground flame flag, and then Rosen reached out and grabbed the black and white spiral sword with a yin-yang Tai Chi diagram at the edge. At the moment he touched the long sword, the voice of Hongjun Daozu rang out again. This sword was once an innate treasure, named the yin-yang blade. It was once a treasure for yin-yang Dao friends to protect themselves and defend the Dao. It has the effect of killing lives and cutting through yin and yang. Due to the war in the past, it has now fallen to become an innate spiritual treasure. As a descendant of yin-yang Dao friends, this sword should belong to you. I hope you can make this sword return to the list of innate treasures in the future. I didn't expect this sword to have such a big head. Rosen's heart was filled with surprise and joy. This sword was once used by the yin-yang Taoist to surround and beat the demon ancestor Luo Xian. That's a true battle of the top in the wilderness. Even on the upper limit, it is definitely not inferior to the upcoming witch battle. Being regarded by yin-yang Taoists as a talisman to protect oneself and defend the Tao, even now falling into the category of innate spiritual treasures. It still cannot be underestimated. Thank you, senior uncle. Perhaps I have just obtained an supreme protective treasure, the ground flame flag. This time, Rosen's tone has calmed down a lot. Roughly refining the yin and yang blades, Rosen's gaze quickly fell on the last 2 lamps. In the midst of the wilderness, the 4 great spiritual lamps exude a majestic aura. However, Rosen was certain that the 2 lamps in front of him were definitely not one of the 4 spiritual lamps. As he took over 2 lamps, the body of the lamp was emerald green, carved like jade, with 2 lamp cores that ignited into 2 flames intertwined, resembling a snake-wrapped treasure lamp. As expected, the voice of Daozu Hongjun once again sounded in Rosen's ear. This item is a emerald light 2-instrument lamp. When illuminated by the light, one thought can transform all thoughts. Even with high magic power, it can be confused and easily refined by the 2-instrument lamps. Moreover, this lamp can transform all things into 2 instruments. The 2 instruments are both yin and yang. For you, this treasure can help you practice and also have a self-defense effect. Rosen, thank you again. At this moment, all the powerful cultivators in the Zixiao Palace looked at Rosen with a strange gaze, as if they had seen him for the first time. In fact, in Rosen's ear, the voice of Hongjun Daozu recounting the miraculous use of the magic weapon was not heard by anyone except himself. But among the people present, who isn't the one with a lively mind? How could it not be guessed that Rosen could never play with Emperor Hongjun in front of everyone? He must have truly heard Daozu Hongjun talk about the various wonderful uses of magic weapons, which is why he is so grateful. But precisely because they guessed this point, not only did everyone present intensify their attention to Rosen. Rosen's previous intention of loudly begging for treasure was all achieved. You should know that even Sanqing, the two saints of the West, and Nu Hua sitting on the Putuan have not had the opportunity to be openly promoted by Hongjun Daozu. Regardless of Rosen's cultivation, at this moment, Rosen, a cultivator with only Xianxian cultivation, was truly the first to be valued by all the great powers of the primordial realm. Not knowing that he had already attracted everyone's attention, Rosen put away the Cueguang Lianyi lamp and picked up the last one with yin and yang above his head, creating a colorful treasure lamp. As before. At the moment of picking up this magic weapon, Rosen once again heard the voice of Hongjun Daozu recounting the miraculous use of magic weapons. This lamp is a yin-yang two-element lamp, capable of generating Tai Chi divine light. It has the effect of generating 4 elements from 2 elements and continuously flowing through the 5 elements. The 2 elements and 4 elements can determine the space in all directions. It perfectly matches your innate yin-yang path. These 4 treasures, along with your protection, can also be considered as the cause and effect of ending the poor path and being friends with the yin-yang path. Rosen knew that obtaining these 4 treasures also meant that he had completely become a leftist cultivator beyond the orthodox sect of the Xianmen sect and 800 other sections. But in this regard, Rosen is not entirely regretful. Whether it is the authentic sect of the Xianmen or the 800 other sects, neither side can provide him with a holy throne. To achieve enlightenment and become a saint, the only thing Rosen can rely on is his own rebellious understanding. Put away the yin and yang lamps, bow to Luo Sen and pay homage to Daozu Hongjun with great respect. Dao. Thank you very much for your kindness, senior uncle. The disciple is deeply moved. Daozu Hongjun, who had no expression on his face, just nodded slightly before retracting his gaze towards Rosen. As expected, next, Daozu Hongjun gave powerful magic weapons to the destined Sanqing, Western 2 saints, and Nu Hua each. The Taiqing sage obtained the Tai Chi diagram, the Yuanshi heavenly sovereign obtained the Panga banner, and the Tongtian sect leader also obtained the 4 swords of the immortal slaying and the immortal slaying formation diagram. Nu Hua obtained the red embroidery ball and the mountain, river, and country map, which are the treasures of 1 attack and 1 defense. Received the 12-rank merit golden lotus and the eastern green lotus treasure color flag from the Taoist. The Zhuanti Taoist only received 1 blessed pestle.